Hello, everyone, and welcome to what I believe will be one of the most important and unsettling conversations you'll have this year. This is the dark side of good people. And today, we're starting with Part 1A, the beginning of understanding how ordinary, kind, compassionate, everyday people can end up doing things that shock the world, hurt others deeply, and sometimes even destroy lives. Before we dive in, let me ask you a question, and I want you to really sit with it for a second. Picture someone you truly admire. Maybe it's your best friend who's always there for you, your parent who sacrificed so much, a teacher who believed in you when no one else did, or even a public figure whose values seem rock solid. Now imagine, one day, that same person starts doing something cruel, something that makes you question everything you thought you knew about them. They hurt someone. They stay silent when they should speak. They follow orders that are clearly wrong. They participate in something harmful. And the scariest part? They don't look like a monster while doing it. They still smile the same way. They still hug their kids. They still say, "I love you," to the people closest to them. How does that happen? How does a good heart turn dark? That's exactly what we're going to explore in this series, step by step, layer by layer. And I promise you, by the end, you'll not only understand why this happens, you'll also have real tools to make sure it never happens to you or to the people you care about. So, let's begin at the root of it all, a psychological concept and an experiment that changed how the world sees human nature forever. It's called the Lucifer Effect, and it comes from the work of psychologist Philip Zimbardo. The name Lucifer Effect is powerful on purpose. Lucifer was the angel of light who fell from grace and became the embodiment of evil in many traditions. Zimbardo used this name to show something terrifying. Even the brightest, most virtuous people can fall when the circumstances are right or wrong. The experiment that proved this was the Stanford Prison Experiment in 1971. Zimbardo and his team recruited 24 male college students. They were normal guys, psychologically healthy, from middle-class backgrounds, no criminal history, no signs of aggression or instability. They passed rigorous screening. These students were randomly assigned to be either guards or prisoners in a simulated prison built in the basement of Stanford University's psychology building. The prisoners wore smocks, no underwear, had numbers instead of names, and were kept in cells. The guards had uniforms, mirrored sunglasses to hide their eyes, batons, and keys, symbols of power. Zimbardo himself acted as the superintendent. The plan was to run the study for 2 full weeks. It lasted 6 days. Why did it stop early? Because within 36 hours, the situation spiraled out of control. The guards began humiliating the prisoners. They made them do push-ups as punishment. They woke them up in the middle of the night for counts. They forced them to clean toilets with their bare hands. They stripped them naked. They made some prisoners simulate sexual acts. They denied food, water, bathroom breaks. The prisoners started breaking down. Some cried uncontrollably. Some became completely submissive and depressed. One prisoner had to be released early because of severe emotional distress. He was screaming and banging his head against the wall. Zimbardo himself became so immersed in his role that he didn't see how bad it had gotten until an outside observer, a colleague, came in and was horrified. She forced him to shut it down. Think about that for a moment. These were not criminals, not psychopaths, not people with violent tendencies. They were college students who just days earlier were laughing, studying, planning their summer. But the environment, the roles they were assigned, the power imbalance, the anonymity of the masks and uniforms, the expectation from the group turned them into abusers.
The prisoners weren't just playing a role either. They internalized it. They started referring to themselves by number. They begged the guards for mercy. This experiment showed something profound. Situations can be more powerful than individual personality. Good people don't need to be inherently evil to do evil things. They just need the right barrel, the toxic system, to roll them downhill. Zimbardo later said, "Most of us are good apples, but any apple can rot in a bad barrel." And history gives us countless real-world examples that prove this point again and again. During the Holocaust, many Nazi concentration camp guards were described by their neighbors and families as ordinary, polite, family-oriented men. They went to church on Sunday, kissed their kids goodnight, and then returned to work, overseeing gas chambers and mass executions. In the 1994 Rwandan genocide, ordinary Hutu civilians, farmers, teachers, doctors, picked up machetes and killed their Tutsi neighbors, people they'd known for decades. Radio propaganda had dehumanized the Tutsis so thoroughly that killing felt like clearing brush. In 2004, at Abu Ghraib prison in Iraq, American soldiers, many of them young from small towns, described as good kids by their families, took photos smiling next to humiliated, naked Iraqi prisoners. They forced detainees into sexual positions, used dogs to terrorize them, and in some cases caused death. Again, not born sadists, transformed by the situation. Lack of oversight, group pressure from fellow soldiers, dehumanizing language from superiors, the stress of war. These examples aren't rare anomalies, they are patterns. Patterns that show up in workplaces where employees cover up fraud because that's how it's done here. In schools where teachers ignore bullying because kids will be kids. In families where abuse is excused because that's just how dad is. In online communities where hate speech escalates because everyone's saying it. So the first major force we need to understand is the power of authority. And no study illustrates this better than Stanley Milgram's obedience experiments from the early 1960s at Yale University. Milgram was trying to understand how ordinary Germans could participate in the Holocaust. He designed a simple but brutal setup. Participants were told they were part of a study on learning and punishment. They were the teacher. Another person, an actor, was the learner. The teacher was instructed to ask the learner questions. For every wrong answer, the teacher had to deliver an electric shock, starting at 15 volts and increasing by 15 volts each time, up to 450 volts. The shock machine had labels: slight shock, moderate shock, strong shock, very strong shock, danger, severe shock, and XXX. The learner was strapped to a chair in another room so the teacher couldn't see him directly.
As shocks increased, the learner would yell in pain, beg to stop, complain of heart trouble, scream, and eventually go silent, as if unconscious or dead. Whenever the teacher hesitated or wanted to stop, the experimenter, an authority figure in a white lab coat, would say things like, "Please continue. The experiment requires that you continue. It is absolutely essential that you continue. You have no other choice. You must go on." Nothing more. No threats, no rewards, just calm insistence from an authority figure. The result was shocking, literally. 65% of participants went all the way to 450 volts, the maximum, even though they believed they were causing severe pain or possibly killing the learner. They weren't enjoying it. Many were sweating, shaking, laughing nervously, protesting out loud, but they kept pressing the button because the man in the white coat said to. Milgram repeated variations of the experiment, moving closer to the learner. having the experimenter give orders over the phone instead of in person, using women instead of men, but the obedience rate stayed disturbingly high. This experiment has been replicated dozens of times around the world with similar results. What does this tell us? Ordinary people, people who would never hurt a fly in normal circumstances, will inflict serious harm on another human being if an authority figure tells them to, and if they can diffuse the responsibility, "I'm just following orders." Now, stop and think about your own life. Be brutally honest. Have you ever followed an instruction from a boss, teacher, parent, coach, religious leader, or government official that you privately knew was wrong or unfair, but you did it anyway? Maybe it was fudging a report at work, ignoring a safety rule, staying silent on harassment, enforcing a policy you disagreed with. How did it feel? Did you tell yourself, "It's just this once," or "They know better than me," or "If I don't, someone else will"? Those are the same mental mechanisms that allowed 65% of Milgram's participants to go to the max. Authority is powerful because it short-circuits our personal moral compass. It makes us hand over responsibility. It's not my decision, it's theirs. And once we do that, the line between right and wrong blurs. But authority is only one piece. In the next part, Part 1B, we'll explore even darker forces, dehumanization, how group dynamics and roles make cruelty contagious, the subtle tipping point where small compromises lead to big moral failures, and the unsettling reality that no one is truly immune to any of this. If this first part has already made you uncomfortable, good, that's the point. Uncomfortable awareness is the first step to real protection. So if you're ready to keep going, hit that like button if this resonated, subscribe so you don't miss Part 1B, and drop a comment below. Have you ever obeyed an authority figure when your gut told you it was wrong? What happened afterward? No names, no judgment, just honest reflection helps us all. Thank you for being here and for the courage to look at this. I'll see you in Part 1B, where we go even deeper. Stay thoughtful, stay awake. Welcome back, everyone. If you just finished Part 1A, thank you for sticking with this. We started with the Lucifer Effect and the Stanford Prison Experiment, how normal college students became abusive guards in days. We looked at the chilling power of authority through Stanley Milgram's obedience study, where 65% of ordinary people shocked a stranger to what they believed was lethal levels, even though they believed they were causing severe pain or possibly killing the learner. They weren't enjoying it. Many were sweating, shaking, laughing nervously, protesting out loud, but they kept pressing the button because the man in the white coat said to. Now, in Part 1B, we're going deeper into the other major forces that quietly erode goodness, forces so subtle and powerful that they operate in our daily lives without us even noticing. By the end of this part, you'll see how these mechanisms create a perfect storm and why no one, not even the most moral, empathetic, or self-aware person, is completely safe from any of this. Let's start with one of the most insidious tools ever used to enable cruelty: dehumanization. Dehumanization is the psychological process of stripping another person or an entire group of their humanity. When we do that, we no longer see them as full human beings with feelings, families, dreams, fears, pain, or dignity. We see them as objects, as threats, as animals, as numbers, as them. And once someone is no longer one of us, it becomes far, far easier to justify harming them. History is filled with textbook examples of this tactic being weaponized on a massive scale. In the Holocaust, Nazi propaganda systematically referred to Jewish people as vermin, parasites, subhuman,
rats, and cancer. These weren't random insults, they were deliberate. By turning people into pests or diseases, the act of extermination felt like sanitation, not murder. In Rwanda in 1994, Hutu extremist radio stations repeatedly called Tutsis Inyenzi, cockroaches. The message was clear. Cockroaches are dirty, destructive, something you crush without remorse. Within months, ordinary Hutu civilians, teachers, farmers, doctors, neighbors used machetes to slaughter nearly 1 million Tutsis and moderate Hutus. Many killers were people who had shared meals, weddings, and funerals with their victims just weeks earlier. Dehumanization made the unthinkable feel necessary. But this doesn't only happen in wars or genocides. It happens in everyday life, in ways that are quieter but just as dangerous. Think about modern political rhetoric. Entire groups of immigrants are sometimes called invaders, animals, or swarms. Opponents in debates are reduced to snowflakes, libtards, fascists, sheep, or degenerates. Once you label someone that way, empathy shuts down. You no longer feel the need to listen, understand, or treat them with basic respect. Online, it's even easier. Behind a screen, a username, an avatar, people become abstract targets. A single tweet can turn into a pile-on of thousands, doxing, death threats, harassment, because the person on the other end feels like just another troll or just a bad take, not a mother, a son, someone having a bad day. A workplace example. A colleague gets labeled difficult, lazy, toxic, or not a team player. Suddenly, it's socially acceptable to exclude them from meetings, overload them with work, spread rumors, or even push them out. No one feels guilty because they're no longer seen as a full person with struggles and value. They're reduced to a problem to be solved.
Dehumanization doesn't require active hatred at the beginning. It often starts with lazy language, stereotypes, fear-mongering, or us versus them thinking. But once it takes root, it creates moral distance. And moral distance makes cruelty feel neutral or even righteous. Next force, social roles and group dynamics. This is where the Stanford Prison Experiment gets even more frightening. The guards didn't become abusive because they were born cruel. They became abusive because they stepped into a role that demanded it. They wore uniforms, they had batons and keys, they were told to maintain order. The prisoners were stripped of identity, numbers instead of names, smocks instead of clothes. The power imbalance was built in, and within hours, the roles took over. The guards started conforming to what they thought a guard should be: tough, dominant, in control. The group of guards reinforced it. No one wanted to be seen as the weak one, so abuse escalated. This is classic conformity and groupthink. Solomon Asch's line experiments in the 1950s showed that people will give obviously wrong answers just to fit in with the group. When everyone else says a short line is longer, most conform. Now imagine that with moral stakes. If the group laughs at a racist joke, you laugh too, even if it feels wrong. If the group stays silent during injustice, you stay silent. If the group participates in something shady, you participate. Why? Because humans are wired for belonging. Being the outlier feels dangerous, socially, emotionally, sometimes even physically. Group dynamics create two deadly effects. Diffusion of responsibility. If everyone's doing it, it's not really my fault. The group decided. Pluralistic ignorance. Everyone privately disagrees, but thinks everyone else agrees, so no one speaks up. Result? The whole group slides into behavior that no single person would choose alone. Real-world examples. Fraternity hazing. Normal students humiliate pledges because it's tradition and the older members expect it. Corporate scandals. Employees cover up fraud because that's how business is done here, and the team normalizes it. Social media pile-ons. One critical post turns into thousands attacking because the momentum feels like the crowd is right. Even in families, abuse or dysfunction gets passed down because that's just how we are, or everyone in the family does it. These forces don't announce themselves with fanfare. They whisper, just this once. It's not a big deal. Everyone else is fine with it. And that's how the tipping point happens, the moment a good person crosses the line. It's almost never one dramatic, cinematic decision. It's a series of small, seemingly harmless choices that accumulate. You see something unfair, but stay silent because it's easier. You laugh at a cruel joke to fit in. You go along with a shady decision at work just to keep the peace. You scroll past injustice because what can one person do? Each compromise weakens your moral muscle. Over weeks, months, years, what once felt wrong starts feeling normal. The slope gets steeper. You wake up one day and realize you're doing things you swore you'd never do. Pause here, really pause. Think back over the last few years. Is there a moment, maybe small, where you compromised your values because it felt safer, easier, or more accepted? What was that first tiny step? How did it feel at the time? And looking back, did it lead somewhere you didn't expect? These moments are the real danger zones. They're subtle, they're easy to excuse, but they're the gateway to much darker places. Now, the question that lingers in almost everyone's mind after learning all this is, are some people truly immune to the Lucifer effect? Is there a special type of person, more empathetic, more principled, more heroic, who could never fall? The honest, evidence-based answer is no, not completely. Personality traits help, high empathy, strong moral identity, past experiences of standing up for what's right, these act as buffers. But under extreme circumstances, intense authority, prolonged group pressure, dehumanizing environment, personal stress, fear, anonymity, anyone can crack. Even people who score high on moral tests in calm settings have been shown to obey harmful warders in Milgram-style experiments. Carl Jung described it as the shadow, the darker, repressed parts of our psyche that every human carries. We like to pretend the shadow doesn't exist, that evil is out there in other people. But Jung warned, the more we deny the shadow, the more power it has over us from the unconscious. True strength comes from acknowledging it exists, facing it, integrating it into conscious awareness. Only then can we control it instead of letting it control us. So where does that leave us? With a clear picture of the dangers, but also with the beginning of hope. Because knowing these forces exist means we can start to recognize them when they appear in our own lives, at work, in friend groups, on social media, in families, in ourselves. Awareness is not the cure, but it is the essential first step. The next steps, the real defenses, the tools to fight back, the ways to build unbreakable resilience, are exactly what we'll cover in Part 2A and 2B. We'll talk about moral vigilance to catch excuses early, empathy as a weapon against dehumanization, moral courage to act despite fear, situational awareness, the massive power of small positive actions, self-reflection, forgiveness when we fall short, and the single most transformative insight of all, the one that can change how you see every human being forever. If Part 1B has shaken you, that's okay. Shaken people wake up. So, if you're ready for the empowerment side, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss Part 2A. Hit like if this is making you think differently about the world, and comment below one honest reflection. What's one way you've seen dehumanization or group pressure show up in your own life, at work,
online or with friends. No need for details if you're not comfortable, just a word or phrase. Sharing helps us all feel less alone in this. Thank you again for being here, for having the courage to look at the uncomfortable parts of human nature. You're already doing something powerful by choosing to face it. I'll see you in part 2A, where we stop being passengers and start driving. Stay aware, stay reflective, stay human.